All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Today is August 11th, 2020. This is episode number 65, and today we're going to take a look at trait 4. We're going to take a look at trait 4 in quality 1. And so what we're going to explore today is with logic, timing is everything. Right? So isn't timing everything? That's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So of course, before we get started, let's say hello to our amazing panel. Let's start with Rob. Hey, Rob, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much. Hi, everybody.
Great to have you back from vacation. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And let's go to Leanne.
Hey, friends.
Woo-hoo.
Good to see everybody here. It's fun.
Great to have you join us, Leanne. And let's go to Tuck. Hey, Tuck. Welcome back. Great to have you here. Great interview with Rob that went out on Friday.
Thank you. That was fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, great to have you here. Welcome. And Chris.
Hello. Welcome. Hey, we got Anna too. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
It's a party.
Oh my goodness.
You got us all today. Really
Fabulous. Well, welcome, Anna. Do you want to say hello?
I think she's still connecting.
Oh, is she still connecting?
Here. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So again, what we're going to take a look at today is we're going to take a look at with logic, timing is everything. And I want to start by taking a look at, we've now begun this journey through diversity, through duality. I'm still, that was our past nodes here, but the journey through duality. So when we're taking a look at duality, it's about bonding, it's about connection, it's about relationships with others. And so what I've highlighted are the traits that we're going to be exploring, that we're moving through in August. So last week we were in leadership, and we talked about the different types of leadership last week. And remember, leadership in trait 70, in trait 7, in trait 7, there we go. It's about identity. It's how we lead others, right? So again, about this connection, bonding with others. So leadership has to do with connecting with others. Today, we're going to take a look at formalization. This is about sharing logical answers with others. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. Just so you can see where we're moving towards, we're going to take a look at perseverance in the 29, saying yes to the collective experience. We're going to be taking a look at achieving union. We're going to take a look at the 59 in intimacy and breaking down barriers. And then we're also going to be taking a look at deliverance in trait number 40, which is the love of work. This is delivering what has been promised to others, right? So again, our theme is this duality, this connecting, this bonding with others. And this is the chart for today. Just a couple of quick things I wanted to point out. We just talked about 7 last week, and 7 is in our communication. And remember, trait 1 is about authority. So one of the things that we'll see, starting this week. And then also the other thing just to pay attention to this week as well, what's very interesting on the other side of the 4, right? What grounds the 4 is revolution, right? In the 49. So this is about principles. So principles and revolution are here as well. So just thought it was an interesting thing to take a look at. Also, we do have 2 strengths that are defined throughout this month. As a reminder, we have the 2212, which is about socialness. This is about mutating the collective. I'm going to talk a little bit about that here in just a moment as well as continuing to search for or find that inner truth. And I know, Leanne, you look at the weather report often. I didn't know if there was anything else that you would like to add, just for people to pay attention to in this coming week.
Well, I can play with a couple sentences if you'd like to.
Sure.
That I put together just for fun. So for me, it's about watching the revolutionary answers and formulas that are designed to assist individuals on this planet to assimilate the mutation and the awareness and ambitiously transform and mature through those formulas. So just be witnessing. What is your role that you are designed to stand in and concentrate on? And can you witness the ideas flow through your mind and take action only when decision-making strategy moves you? So
Love it.
those are the couple sentences I put together.
Perfect. Perfect. Really beautifully said. And thank you for sharing that, Leanne. Right. So here's the thing to start to take a look at and to pay attention to this week. The other thing that I wanted to just point out, again, I was just geeking out a little bit, so I thought I would share it with you guys. Just kind of what the global environment is, if we're taking a look at the 12 and the 11, just kind of taking a bit of a deeper look. If we take a look at trait 11, it is in quality 6 through August 19th. And so again, this is about ideas and adaptability. So it's kind of adapting to whatever the new normal is. So it's the inner balance to accept transition. And the elevation is the realization that ideas lead to change and are changeable. And the innate awareness that all forms are transitory, right? So that the only thing that's constant is change. And the challenge is the realization of what ideas are of value in any situation. So adaptability is the most, adaptability in its most negative manifestation. So this can be the spectator who profits at the expense of others in times of peace or of war. So just kind of interesting to take a look at, sort of what the background is until August 19th. We're going to be moving into trait number 5 after August 19th. Also, if we take a look at the 12, again through August 19th, this is about caution and metamorphosis. So this is faith in and the energy applied towards change and the emergence from standstill. So the elevation is the capacity to mutate and express new social forms, creative transcendence that when connected to trait 22, which it is, through the strength of openness, through the strength of socialness, leads to successful mutation and the emergence of a new social form. The challenge is the perfected adaptation to caution that can accept social limitations, a retrograde metamorphosis that has evolved a perfect adaptation to standstill. So I just thought that this was just kind of interesting to take a look at, especially that this is what's there over the next week. We've been talking about the metamorphosis. We're going to take a look at, again, timing is everything. So taking a look at how this also relates to what we're going to be taking a look at today in trait number 4, and really taking a look at formalization. So I just wanted, before we jump into trait number 4, I just wanted to see if anyone in our panel has any ahas or curiosities or just anything that's come to light and just kind of taking a look at this environment of the caution and the metamorphosis along with this ideas and adaptability.
Sure. So Karen, when I look at this, I just look at my own current little bitty universe, right? Everything that everybody's being affected by is this COVID situation, right? But we've now extended through this period for quite some time, or at least it feels that way. But now we're gonna, I don't know, I personally feel like we're gonna move into a new reality there. So I'm excited to see what will, if this is even a word, metamorphosize through this. New ideas are coming forward. I think that we are being asked to be adaptable. I know I went through this just recently, putting my son into a school. They've made all kinds of adaptations just so that they can continue to give this experience to the children. And so, it's interesting, going back to the trait of the 4 with timing being everything. And I look back at all of the training that I've done with the certification, with the new cycles offering, and then how you have articulated it just through the current global environment, it has to be everything, right? And so if you just watch this, it's all there as long as you're listening to the universe.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good point, Rob. Thank you. Anything for you, Chris or Tuck?
Go
Yeah,
Chuck.
my
There we
computer shut down. I'm back. Literally, I left. No, as I was watching you, Karen, go through the 11 and the 12 yesterday, and I on my coaching session with my mentor. The first thing I said to her was how unsettled I was feeling, without giving reason to it, without having to have an excuse for it. I was really, really unsettled and on the verge of tears. And what came out of that, the question that she asked me, is it okay not to know? But I was tapping into a lot of childhood stuff about the unknown, timing, not knowing where I'm going. But it's interesting, as I was looking at the 12 and the 11, what I said to her was, I keep hearing, wait for it. Wait, and that's the message that I keep getting, is just to be still, be cautious, and wait. And yet I'm really unsettled in that I feel this change, and it's not mental, it's physiological.
Yep.
So that was interesting, looking at what you put up here today.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to look at this, and also in connection with what we're looking at. It really ties in quite nicely. Thank you for sharing that, Tuck. Anything, Chris, that you wanted to add?
Just a couple things. One is that I have seen more butterflies and chrysalis images online and on Facebook and like in different places than I've ever seen in the last week. So I just thought that was interesting that that's right there. And then also just more on a personal note, and I invite everybody to maybe consider this as well, and kind of tags onto what Tuck was just talking about, and that unsettled feeling. And I know myself, I'm going through a lot of personal transitions, and I just love this, the energy applied towards change, right? And the emergence from standstill, but also like knowing, and then the trait 11, which was about what did you say? The capacity for the adaptation, or
Yep.
well, yeah, inner balance to accept transition. And that I've been really consciously working with that, and just seeing how the environment energetically and globally is, not only is that happening for all of us, but it's really, I'm feeling it and perceiving it personally. And then something that I just love, one of my mentors shared with, that is like the amount of chaos that's happening here in the physical realm, in the material world, is directly proportional to the amount of order that is in the divine. And so this kind of like, there is a logical divine order that is happening, as much as it looks like a total blank show down here. And that is also giving me a lot of peace, that it's just like, I stand with the divine order. I stand with the logical divine order that is happening right now, not necessarily right in front of my face, not necessarily right in my body in this moment, but that is what I'm holding on to. And so this is just a beautiful, yet another beautiful example of how human design literally is supporting us and mapping this transition, not just personally, but globally. And I just love it. So
yeah. Beautifully, beautifully said, Chris.
yeah.
And it really leads really beautifully into what we're taking a look at, and what our focus is today, in taking a look at trait 4, when we're taking a look at formalization. And when we take a look at what formalization is, it's all about this youthful folly. Formalization, it's the logic protects us from misfortune. And we're going to be talking about the one in the timing as well. But let's take a look just a bit deeper on what this is all about. You know, sort of there's this, you know, like Chris was saying, there's all of this chaos, but, you know, in a bigger sense, there's an underlying logic. And so this is, when we take a look at trait 4, it's the beginning of the awareness process mentally in the logical system. So this is about mental awakening. So when we take a look at mental awakening, it's an answer, a formula. And it's an answer and a formula, but it's only a potential. And what's interesting, as we formulate ideas, as we formulate answers, as we formulate potentials, it's the energy to beguile and to succeed despite ignorance, along with the freedom from retribution. I often think of this as like brainstorming, right? When you brainstorm, you just want to throw all the ideas and all the possibilities out there, right? So without, you know, without judgment, without retribution, just to kind of get the ideas out there. Because in this logical process, right, there is, remember, logic is about taking a look at how do we move forward into the future. Logic is about, you know, trying to find those answers. But remember, at this point, it's, you know, simply an answer or a formula. Nothing has been proved yet. You know, so you can succeed with all of these ideas, you know, despite ignorance. It's the ability to formulate those logical answers when you have enough information. And each answer and each formula is only a potential that must eventually be tested and substantiated by fact. But at this point, again, it's simply an idea. So this is the mental intelligence and the mental awareness to judge also what looks suspicious and also what does not quite fit into the pattern, right? So this is taking a look at things from a very logical, in a very logical way, taking a look at, you know, where do we have those logical answers? So I would love to hear a little bit more, Leanne, kind of your perspective on this. And again, I always find it interesting, this energy to beguile and succeed despite ignorance and the freedom from retribution, you know, as we're finding these answers.
One thing that I read this week was, instead of seeking answers, seek the experimentation and seek the experience. Because those two things allow for those answers to work through you versus the mental plane providing that answer, and then all of a sudden an opinion's created, which that's the whole point of this. But the answers need to come through the experimentation and the experience, and seeking that versus seeking the answer then provides you with exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Beautifully said. You know, and as we're talking about the foundation, we're going to be taking a look at this timing and how important the timing is. But again, it's the answers arrive at its own time. Some people may find answers really quickly. For some people, it may take, you know, a much longer time. Sometimes it's a much slower process. But it all is, we are all supported in one way or another. And it's allowing, just as Leanne was saying, those answers to come to us. And they will come to us in the correct timing. Beautifully said. Thank you, Leanne. How about for you, Tuck?
I hope my computer stays on. I love the word youthful folly. Like, that's one of my favorite things about the 4th trait, in that with my open conceptualizing function and all 3 activations up there at the top, I am always in a deep sense of contemplation, looking for the next answer, looking for the formula, looking for the logic. And it's hysterical because people will come up to me and say, so what do you think? Or what's the answer today? And it really tickles me because I don't hold that I have anybody's answer. But it really is fun for me to let them come, let them flow, look for the pattern, because the patterns are always there. And yeah, to not take it that seriously. So I really appreciated what you said, Leanne, about experimenting with it and letting them come in and just going with the flow. but it's one of my favorite things. I absolutely love coming up with answers. And I'm a math major, and I love logic and math. So.
And you have it twice in your design, right? You have it in your truth and transformation,
Yeah,
twice.
I think I've gone from a sense of panic, as a young person, having to know, to where in this older age, this older territory that I'm in, it really is more fun knowing that there is no certainty, right? There really isn't an answer. So to play with whatever those answers are. And yeah, there is no certain future, even though the answers are going to come.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that fits in right with what we were talking about with the metamorphosis, and knowing that, really the only thing that's constant is change. So when we wait for the right timing, right, it all comes into play. Beautifully said, Tuck.
I
Yeah,
love that,
Chris.
Chuck. It made me just think of, like, we're truly on a need to know basis. And that if we live life that we're on a need to know basis, and that's where our strategy and authority comes in, because we can't know unless we're operating correctly. If we're operating correctly, then the knowledge, just going back to what Leanne said, it's like, don't seek the answer, seek the experience. The experience will give you the answer. But if you're operating correctly, that's how it will show up. And then you don't need to be certain, or, which would be the shadow of that. It's like, oh yeah, it's pretty simple. We just have it all backwards. I tell people, like, clarity is not seeing the way, it's changing the way you see. And if you change the way you see and go, okay, well, all I need to do is, as a builder, wait to respond, and then trust my gut. And then the next step will reveal itself. The next answer, I don't need to know anything else other than that. But that is so scary to our mind. Our mind is like, oh, hell no, I have got to know, I've got to have a plan, I've got to have it figured out. And it just, how well is that working for us, people? It's like not that great. Thank you, Tuck, for laying that out in a mathematical way. I love it.
Wow, beautifully said, Chris. And I love that idea of where it's on a need to know basis, right? And allowing those answers to come to us through following our decision-making strategy. That really is the process. And remember, with conceptualization, as mentioned several times, the shadow of this is wanting to be certain. And just as Chris said, that's the shadow of this particular function. So it's being okay, like you said, with not knowing. I love it. Anything, Rob, that you would like to add? Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Here that I really hate being uncertain. Like, I just want to be very, very clear that I'm not sitting over here like, it's super easy. I freaking hate it. Like, it really bugs me. So I just wanted to, just if anybody else is out there going, you make it sound so easy. Yeah, it's simple. It's not necessarily easy.
Yeah, very good point.
That was our math formula, by the way. It's simple in theory, it's challenging in practice. That was our math formula.
I love it. And Angela is saying, you're not alone. Uncertainty is frustrating. Absolutely. Anything, Rob, that you would like to add?
I'll do my best. This conversation is so beautiful every single week. And I just love how this always unfolds through the experience. Yeah, the certainty part, right? Like, if we look back on our childhood, where did that whole idea of being certain before you do anything anyway fall in, right? And I don't know, Leanne, the way that you talked about, seeking the experience, and then Chris, the way you put it, it just makes sense to me. I'm myself right now having ahas from this conversation. It's just so lovely. With the trait 4, I don't particularly have it in my design, my career design, but interestingly, and I mentioned cycles earlier, one of the things that I've learned through doing the BG5 cycle analysis in my first 30 years, Youthful Folly was the theme, if you will, of my first 30 years. And so I succeeded despite my ignorance. And I did have a lot of freedom from retribution. So, and my answer, my formula to my first 30 years was outwork the next person. Like that's all I knew. And it was interesting how that worked. So.
Wow. Well, very cool. I love it. And I agree with Rob. It's like, wow, this discussion is really, really rich. And when we take a look at this, one step further, when we take a look at the quality that we're currently in. So we're in quality 1, which is, remember, quality 1 is always about the authority. And this is about pleasure. This is pleasure through logic, right? The ultimate pleasure cannot be achieved without the perfect timing. So the elevation is the potential to recognize that there's a natural timing to the understanding process. This is what we've been talking about, right? Some of us will understand things really quickly. Sometimes, right, there's a natural process of allowing things to unfold as we start to understand them. So it's the instinct to know the right moment and circumstances where pleasure is rewarded and not punished. Now, if we take a look at the challenge side of it, it's timing is not a product of discipline. So you can't be disciplined in timing. Timing happens in its own course, in its own way, in its own time. And, if you're trying, this is like trying to force the river, right? Because, the river's going to flow as the river flows. So this is the potential to recognize that not everyone can understand, right? Even in what we take a look at in human design in BG5, there's nuances and there's pieces that, maybe not everyone can understand. There's also this exaggerated self-discipline that leads to the abuse of pleasure. Meaning, again, you're trying to push the river. You're not allowing the timing to happen. You're trying to control everything too much that you're not just allowing the natural flow. This is where we can beat ourselves up, make ourselves wrong, feeling like there's something that we need to fix because we're not certain, trying to be mentally defensive because we're not certain, right? So it's realizing that timing is not a product of discipline. And again, there's a natural timing to the whole understanding process. And again, just think about it when you get that aha, right? When the pieces come together, when you see the formula, when you get the answers at the right time, right? There's pleasure in getting those answers, in finding those answers, in being able to see, right, what the potential is all about. So Tuck, what would you like to add something to what this pleasure of formalization is all about?
Yeah, I was nodding my head because I have this word called epiphagasm. That it feels, the way I feel about that word versus the word discipline. It's like I have to shiver when I hear the word discipline for some reason. What comes to me is that quote by Viktor Frankl when he talked about the space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies our growth and our freedom. And I have lived my life most recently in living in the inquiry, like not deciding, not making myself have the answer, but to stretch that gap and stay in that space of not knowing, you're not having the answer, even though they're still flooding in. But that for me, that's the pleasure for me. And it feels authoritative because it gives me a sense of groundedness and a way to stay present, and that I'm not being pulled into all of these different distractions that are around me. So live in the inquiry, don't decide, shiver when I hear discipline, and love the word epiphagasm.
I love epiphagasm. It makes me want a cigarette. I'm like, oh, I feel like I need a cigarette after that. I don't even smoke. Epiphagasm. That's like the best word I've ever heard. I love it. So good.
Oh, I love it. How funny. Did you want to say some more, Chris?
Okay. I love this too about, especially if you're also you know, you were talking about getting frustrated with ourselves or feeling like there's something wrong or we can't move our life forward, you know, because of the divine timing. There's also then when we're interacting with other people and really, you know, whether you're talking about business or partnerships or with clients or whatever, marketing and, you know, interpersonal, like more private relationships where it's like, oh, I want them to move as fast as I want to move. I want things to go at a certain pace. And then to, you know, again, settle back into, okay, there's a divine timing here. There's a logic and an order. And if I can trust I may not trust the other person to move in the way that I want them to move. But if I trust the divine logic of the universe, then and I stop trying to force the river, as you were saying, then it works out. And it's fascinating how I've just been playing with that as well. And so anywhere where you're feeling like you want to like really get other people moving in a certain way, it's like, okay, how can I trust in this situation that everybody's being handled, everything, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, Chris, because again, we're taking a look at trait that is in, right, its purpose is fulfilled through bonding, through connection, through relationship, right? This and then also recognizing the duality of, you know, wanting others to, you know, keep up with our pace, or, you know, getting frustrated that, you know, you're too slow or they're too slow, or that you can't keep up with other people's pace as well.
Right.
And just relaxing into the timing. Really beautifully said.
Like what if we all relaxed into the timing? Like just imagine, everybody just for a moment, like everyone, just imagine that everyone was relaxed into the divine timing. Doesn't that feel amazing? Like, didn't everybody just feel like, even for a second, that sense of peace, that sense of like, oh shit, there is nothing for me to do right now. It is okay, it is handled.
Yeah.
And what if just enough of us were doing that maybe that could actually shift things. I don't know, maybe, you know, shift into tilt. So I think I just had a epiphagasm.
Yeah.
Woo! Not here.
Something-gasm, I don't. Everybody pauses.
I'm just gonna have some fun here. Yeah.
Is it tickling your G center?
Oh no.
Oh my, here we go.
Y'all are good. Oh my goodness.
You funny.
How do you follow up from that, right? Go, Rob.
Yeah. Chris is an express builder. I don't even know what you're talking about pausing. I mean.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wait. I'm kidding. But yeah. Totally.
And something I'd love to share in here is when we're trying to force the timing, that's like trying to force ourselves to, you know, die and rejuvenate, like the body has its own timing. The neutrino ocean has its own timing. We are in a total delusion if we believe that we can push the timing. It's impossible. The physical body has its cellular process. The neutrino ocean has its movement. So it's about relaxing into those, like Chris said, those larger patterns that are completely beyond us. They're completely beyond us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said, Chris. You know, imagine, you know, the more people, kind of the 100th monkey theory, right? If enough of us are just relaxing into the flow of things, really what is possible. That's quite amazing. Very, very cool. Very fun discussion. All right. Well, I wanted to take a look real quickly at also our celebrity for today. It was Cecil B. DeMille. He was a film producer and director. He's acknowledged as the founding father of American cinema, and he's and he's the most commercially successful producer and director in film history. He directed the epic 1956 film, The Ten Commandments. We used to watch it right before Easter every year, as well as Cleopatra, Samson and Delilah, The Greatest Show on Earth in 1952, and won an Academy Award for Best Picture. And so his life work, if we take a look at what the life work is with trait 4, this is the life work of explanation. Your job is to explain revolutionary and principled solutions. Untested individual knowing necessitates clarifying and repeating insights which have been filtered through logic's formulas. So, in his movies were very epic, right? And his movies were sort of explaining these epic points in history, and sort of these revolutionary times in history as well. So I think it's again very perfect. It's very interesting. He's an innovator as well. So when we take a look at him being the founding father, of American cinema, we can see that innovation, that bringing forth something new, bringing forth something new that's very revolutionary. So I don't know if any of you want to add anything, either from knowing anything about Cecil B. DeMille or anything that you see in his charters and in his design.
Well, part of his design with that 3635 is from the human experiential way. And so I just think that that's, and looking at the lineup of his movies, they all have a very strong religious theme. And, to bring in something, to take these ancient stories or, sort of these biblical stories, and then to bring them into, an innovative way in film, and to put that on the screen and to describe our experience of life and as humans, and so I just think that that's interesting. That was what was striking me right there around that.
Yeah. These epic movies, right?
Yeah.
Not just these, basic movies, these epics.
Yeah.
This epics of the experiential way. And again, also, with the 2343 too, this, and being an innovator, this new and innovative, efficient way of bringing explanation forward, right? And in a sense, almost explaining history through film as well, through his perspective. Yeah, very cool. So again, if you are new to BG5 and human design, you can go to our website. You can get a free report at bg5businessinstitute.com. You can also follow BG5 Live, either via the recordings. You can get them on the free resource library, or you can follow along with what is happening, the trait of the day, if you take a look at BG5 Live. Also, we do have courses that are coming up here in September. So invite you to take a look and check out the BG5 courses. Tuck's going to be teaching the BG5 Foundation course coming up in September. So it would be great to have you all join us. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. This has been a whole lot of fun. And what I would like to wrap up with is, what should people pay attention to? Or what are some words of wisdom that you want to leave everyone with to take in and process, or to follow the timing throughout this week? Who would like to jump in and start? Would you like to start, Rob?
Sure. Well, I mean, other than what Leanne mentioned earlier and Chris elaborated on, I don't really have anything other to add, maybe other than just be okay with the timing, like allowing, getting out of the timing business, right? Just be in the canoe and go down the stream and enjoy it. Yeah.
Love it. Perfect. And how about for you, Tuck?
I was going to sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat. Given that, here's what I'm doing with this time. This is a precious time for I'll speak for myself, but for all of us, for myself, to observe patterns, to see what's coming up, to observe when I am in panic or doubt or not knowing, trying to figure things out, and to continue to ground myself. And more importantly, as I was listening to us today, I had this image of kids on a playground, like sharing their answers with playful, youthful folly, simply for the experience of looking at all these different perspectives. And then, as you said, Chris, to trust the undercurrent, that there is, everything is in divine right order. I had a lady say one day that worry is the needless disrespect of the divine order of things. And I have remembered that quote day after day after day. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tuck. And thank you for joining us here again today. Beautifully said. How about for you, Chris?
I love that. What did you say? Worry is the needless disrespect of the divine order. Oh, yes. Amen. That is so good. I think I keep coming back to that. If you're looking at your life right now and you're wanting to be certain and you're wanting to figure it out and you're feeling the pressure to figure it out, you're feeling the pressure, the anxiety of that, to just trust that there is a divine order that is equal to or even more powerful or great than the chaos that you're seeing. And it's which, are you going to look at that, or are you going to trust the unseen order of things? And and you might have to do it over and over and over and over again and step into the experience, like Leanne was saying. Like, just, are you willing to step into the experience over and over again and have the answers revealed?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautifully said, Chris. Thank you so very much. And Leanne?
I'm not sure if I have any words of wisdom, but I just believe that if we can just stand in that decision-making strategy and let our strengths and our qualities and the beauty of our frequency shine through, this is all, it's just candy for the mind. Just watch it. It's fun. Let it tickle you wherever you need it to be tickling you, to have whatever kind of epiphagasmy. I don't even know if I can say that properly, but just, it's really about relaxing. The cells will do what they need. The neutrino ocean will do what it needs. And we are just a big, this tiny little game player in this big game. So have fun.
Yeah. Exactly. And enjoy. I mean, part of this logical process, right, is the pleasure of, as Tuck was saying, the kids playing on the playground and sharing these ideas and sharing these experiences, and this youthful folly of just being able to explore, to be able to experiment, to be able to share what's there for us without retribution, right? And I love what Melissa says. This has been epic. Epically hilarious. Youthful BG5 Live. Thank you all. Thank you, Melissa. It has been so much fun. I don't know if there's any comments in the Facebook.
Well, Sokari did a gif of a woman spitting her coffee out, which was she's laughing so hard. So I think our work is done here. I think we had poked some holes in the logic and had some fun, and I feel like it was and went deep. I think that this is huge, and I learned so much. I for one am feeling this huge sense of, why am I, as my son says, Mom, that's unstressary. So it's like, okay, it's unstressary, stop it. And this is such a beautiful one. And it's so funny that it's up in the mind, it's unstressary. So.
New dictionaries get written. And
I know,
we
right?
care. Wow.
Yeah.
Is anybody writing this down?
Yeah.
Write it down. Wow.
Good.
Yeah, we've come up with all kinds of fabulous words today.
Yeah, no kidding.
go.
I got educated as well.
Oh God.
Oh, I love this so much. Well, I just want to thank each and every one of you on our panel. It has been so much fun. This has been such a rich conversation, and for all of you that are listening, I hope you got out as much of you got out of it as much as we got out of it in talking about it. So thank you all so very much. It's been our absolute pleasure. And I will not be here next week, but we will carry on. So, and Natalie's going to be back. So just to give you a heads up that I won't be here. I'll be on the golf course next week. So taking a little break myself. And so we will see you on BG5 Live next week. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for being here.